You're listening to the Content Sales Podcast, a show all about how to create content to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. Welcome to episode 256. I'm Suzi Dafnis, and here with me is my co-host, Michelle Falzon. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hey, Suzi, I'm doing great. And I am so excited for today's episode because, we're diving into something that's really at the heart of what we've been talking about now for the last few shows. But really, you and I have been talking about this for years. And it's something that we believe all business owners need to be focusing on right at this very minute.
Absolutely. And if you've been listening to our recent episodes, you'll know that this year we have declared the year of the offer. And your offer is how you price and package and position and present what you sell to your market, because your product is just a part of the equation. And even though you've probably got a ton of effort invested and money and focus on this amazing product or service, your market actually doesn't want to know most of what you know about your product.
That's 100% right. In fact, your market only wants to know some really very specific things about your product. They don't want to know all the things. They want to know some specific things, and more specifically, what it means for them. For the person that's actually receiving the offer that you're wanting to get to buy from you. But many business owners get caught in the trap of sharing the wrong things and too many things, and basically, Suzi, either bamboozling their audience or not getting their attention in the first place. And we want to help you with that. And when it comes to crafting your offer, we've been talking about the 7 things that you need to focus on. Not all the millions of things. How great you can boil this down to 7 things to focus on for a high converting offer. And while we cover all 7 of those things in our earlier episode, the new and updated How to Craft an Offer That Sells, which you definitely want to check out if you haven't already, and we're going to put a link to that in today's show notes. Today, though, we're going to focus on one of those 7 elements. We're doing a deeper dive, and that element is pricing.
And pricing is such an important part of your offer. And it's definitely one of the areas that we see a lot of small business owners struggle with. And while pricing is a big topic and we could go in so many different directions, in today's episode, we're going to look specifically at why so many women business owners undercharge for their services, how that might be holding them back, what is behind that undercharging, because it's stopping us from making high converting offers that truly reflect the value of what you do. And so we're going to be talking about what's happening behind the scenes and what you can do about it.
Right. And, this gets to something, Suzi, that I know you're passionate about. I know I'm really passionate about, and that is helping women to grow sustainable, successful, profitable businesses. But the statistics right now, as we both know and have kind of lamented over for the last year or two since we've dug these statistics up, don't show that this is happening, these profitable women-led businesses. Only 13% of women-owned businesses make it past the $100,000 annual revenue mark. That milestone, most women are sitting under that. Most women are sitting under the $100,000 milestone. And when it comes to women-owned businesses hitting the 7-figure mark, like cracking that $1 million business revenue, that's just 2% of women-led businesses.
And these statistics that, Michelle, you're sharing are kind of alarming and upsetting to me, but they've really put a fire under me to really support more and more women to get past that $100,000 mark. Because if we think about that amount of money, yes, it's a good amount of money, and we could be working for someone else making that amount of money. So how do we make that and be successful and profitable and sustainable? So to help us unpack that, we've got a special guest joining us today. It's the wonderful Dr. Claire Zammit from the Women-Centered Coaching Institute. Do you want to say a little bit about Claire before we get her on the line?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to introduce Claire. She's actually a client and a dear friend of mine who I've known for several years. And what I love about Claire is that she's this great mix of practical, professional, amazing, business savvy. And she's grown, multi-million dollar businesses, but she's also an academic with a deep and kind of rigorously researched understanding of what she's talking about when it comes to what holds women back and the very specific things women need to be empowered and to step more fully into their potential. So she's a great one for us to be talking today about pricing. And just a bit about Claire from her bio. She's the creator of Feminine Power and the founder of the Institute for Women-Centered Coaching, Training and Leadership. She holds a PhD in Transformational Learning and Change from the California Institute of Integral Studies. Through her various programs, she's helped over 70,000 women break through their hidden barriers and create extraordinary results, not just in their businesses, but in their lives. And she's touched millions more women through her work and through her messaging. She helps coaches, practitioners, and change makers to use her woman-centered coaching methodology in their work to empower other women. And she also runs a certification program where you can become a certified woman-centered coach. She's an award-winning entrepreneur. Her business has been in the Inc. 500 of America's fastest growing businesses. She's someone that luminaries like Marianne Williamson, Jean Houston, and Alanis Morissette have lauded as an important voice for the growth, development, and empowerment of women. And today we're going to talk with Claire about why undercharging is such a massive issue, how it affects the offers you're making, and what you can do to confidently charge more and serve your clients at a deeper level.
I am so excited for this conversation because often we are undercharging and that is affecting our profits, it's affecting our success, and it's definitely affecting our sustainability. And if you've ever felt that nagging doubt about whether you are charging enough or that your clients are going to leave you if you increase your prices to what they really ought to be, or you've hesitated to make offers because you don't want to come across as being salesy, then you're going to love this episode. Now, Claire is going to help us flip the script on those limiting beliefs and show how charging more isn't just about making more money. It's about creating offers that are more impactful and that are aligned with the transformation that you are here to provide for your clients. Plus, we're going to be sharing a little later on the show how you can get access, I am so excited for this, to Claire's Charge More Guide, which is a free resource where she goes into the concepts that we're going to be discussing today here on the show. She goes into that in more detail, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty, shall we get Claire on the line?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hi, Claire, and welcome to the Content Sales Podcast.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Suzi. I am so honored and excited to be here with both of you because you are such champions for women's power and women's greatness in the world. And I just see embodied in both of you, you have liberated yourself from so many of the internal structures that hold women back. The way that you hold a space for women and call them forth is absolutely unparalleled. So I'm so excited to be able to dive into our topic together today.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Claire. And I want to dive right into the first question because it really follows on from what you said. You're obviously someone who is also passionate about empowering women and helping them sort of bust through their limiting beliefs and so on. But for those who may not know you yet, can you share a bit about your journey and how you've developed the woman-centered coaching methodology, and just fill us in a little bit about what's got you to here?
Well, thanks. That's such a great question because I think for those of us who become coaches, it's because we're passionate about growth and we're passionate about learning. And that was me. I was really someone who had a lot of spiritual experiences. I lived in a lot of different countries. And when I found coaching where I could be in conversations with people about maximizing their potentials, this was the most exciting thing that I could imagine doing with my life. And then the reality kicked in. You know, I invested in a prestigious coaching certification. I did so many different programs. I had a toolkit of skills, but I didn't really know how to use that to create value for my clients. And so what I began to notice, I was working with women. And this is something that we all probably notice now. 70% of the audience for coaching are now women. And what I also found was that the traditional coaching toolkit that I had learned, even though there were a lot of really powerful positive things, it didn't prepare me or equip me to be able to identify what felt like a hidden barrier that was holding women back, that I could feel and sense, but I didn't know how to address. And that same barrier was holding me back. I'd done all the personal growth programs and spiritual development and coaching, and I was still giving more than I was receiving. I was still feeling isolated, even though I was surrounded by other people. And I still had all this untapped potential that I couldn't get out. And what I began to realize is it wasn't that I was failing as a coach. It's that what I had learned in coaching had not prepared me to address what I've really discovered in my research is an unprecedented sea change that's happening where millions of women, as a result of the momentum of the women's movement and feminism, as we women rise to power, we rapidly move up Maslow's hierarchy from the achievement phase to the self-actualization phase. So as women rise to power, women's values and priorities change, and so do their barriers. And the barriers for women at this new stage are largely invisible. They're largely internal. And when I began to get curious about what those were, and I was informed by both women's barriers and opportunities at this new stage, it completely changed everything in my understanding of what my role was as a coach, to the questions I asked, to how I listened, to the process that I coached to be able to address these deeper barriers. And when I learned and developed this new way of coaching, I coached myself. I began to coach the women in my community who were my clients. And my work just expanded because I was getting such deep, powerful results using this very different approach to coaching women. And I went from coaching 6 women in a living room to thousands of women online within a year because of just the elevated impact and results that I was able to create with this method.
So good.
Yeah.
And I believe that, anybody who's listening right now, and as I listen, I love how you said that you could see the resistance in yourself to be fully you, to be fully giving what there was to give and to getting behind the scenes of that. And that's what we're going to be covering here today, because one of the things that we are, especially as this new year has started, as we're recording this episode, Michelle and I have been really focused on bringing to the show opportunities for women to craft better offers that pay them for the value that they bring. And so we actually, inside of her business, we've declared it the year of the offer, because we believe that mastering this foundation is what makes businesses profitable and successful and also sustainable. And why do you think so many women struggle with making offers specifically as it relates to their pricing?
Gosh, it's actually a very multifaceted question to unpack. And so, I'm just sensing into the best way to approach this. So I think it's a lot of different things. The first thing I would say is all the confidence gap research. So we doubt ourselves and our ability to get results for our clients. Women need to feel 85% certain of something before they're going to speak it out loud. I would say that this is a very common thing, is that, we don't want to set expectations, or we don't want to promise people big results that we can't deliver. So we really hold back. And that has all these problems with it, because in that we're not attracting people who are ready to take action and invest in how we craft and shape our offers, because we're hesitant. We also don't want to charge more or create high value offers, because this is one of the cultural barriers for women. It's what I call the power penalty. Women who display characteristics and traits that are coded as masculine, as agentic, and money is really connected to power. And so if a woman charges a lot of money for an offer, there's a fear that people are going to think that I'm selfish or that I'm greedy and be judged as less likable, and that I'm not service oriented and I'm not mission oriented. And, these are not kind of paranoid fears or concerns, right? No, like women actually are judged more harshly. It's kind of amazing, and it's really interesting, because I make invitations to my programs from the stage, and I have never seen a man in the transformation industry like get negative feedback or be judged in the way that women are. So I think that fear is not unfounded, but the solution is not to keep playing small.
Right.
And not
Yeah, so
delivering
good.
value. And, there's lots of ways to address that, but it's our lack of comfort with these invisible things that we feel, so we lack the confidence to promise big results. We don't want to be judged as being, kind of greedy or selfish or any of these things. But I think a big part of it's also the blind spot that we have around our own ability to create value. There's a way that so many of us as women are kind of just really inside of a paradigm of like, I want to be good. I want to be able to please people. My value is in my care and my empathy and my love, and I want to give my time. And that actually has us be disconnected from the true needs of the clients that we're serving. And so what I find happens so frequently with women is because we're kind of coming from a place of scarcity and lack and a kind of insecurity from our own value, we overgive so many of the things that other people don't value or want or need, and then are in cycles where we're underappreciated and underrecognized for our contributions that just creates this kind of downward cycle. And so, value creation is a skill that we need to learn, that we need to develop our capacity to create value. We need to connect with our clients. We need to understand and serve their needs. But I think we don't even know how to ask those questions because where we're thinking from is so constrained by these invisible barriers that hold women back in the culture around playing big, around solving bigger, more expensive, more urgent problems, being able to be all in. I mean, I love that you're making this year the year of the offer, and I love the stand to elevate our value and elevate what we're charging and elevate the impact that we're here to have in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. And you said so many insightful things there. I want to pick up on what you were saying about us over-delivering. It's sort of quite hand in hand with this idea of undercharging, but underneath all of that is this idea that we're not delivering enough value or we're not fully in touch with the value that we bring. And this is something I know both Suzi and I are incredibly passionate about. And I know that you have a system, you teach people systems and processes and frameworks. And, we have a system, we have a framework. There are really 7 things you need to have in a high converting offer, and kind of giving people a structure that they can kind of borrow confidence really to follow a process, especially when we're feeling like, oh, I'm going to be judged for this, or we're feeling like, oh, can I really charge that? Or, oh, what will people say? Nobody's going to want to buy this if I charge that much, etc. And so I think having a structure is really important for people to be able to kind of step out when the confidence is really lacking.
Yes, no, absolutely.
So can we dig a little bit more into this undercharging and over-delivering? Like you've touched a bit on what's driving that tendency, but how does that really impact someone's ability to create a high ticket or a high converting offer, not even a high ticket offer, just an offer that really converts? How does it impact their ability to create value, to tap into their value and then to sort of stand behind it with an offer?
So the root of all of it is disconnection from who we're serving and the problems that we're solving. Right? So what I find happens, and this is just, really symptomatic of a hyper masculine paradigm of power and where we're creating from, that we're kind of in our heads about the offer, right? We're trying to figure out, well, what could I offer and what could I charge? And we're doing it from a place of being disconnected from who we're serving. And we're kind of looking at like, well, what are all the things that I have? And we kind of, just heap on more stuff that we have lying around is collecting dust and just, well, what if I offer that? And what if I offer that? And what if I offer that? But fundamentally, where we're thinking from in our offers, it's actually from our heads. It's from a place of disconnection. It's kind of like things are disjointed versus I'm really connected with who I'm serving. And I'm really viscerally, emotionally connected to the lived experience of pain that the person that I'm serving is in. And I have a deep awareness of what's holding her back, what her unrealized potential is, what a possibility for her life that's even bigger than she can see for herself, right? Because this is part of it. Women's expectations are 50% less than men's who have the same education and background. And so what's interesting is, clients actually want to invest in things that are going to unleash their untapped potentials, but they don't know what those are or how to articulate them or how to name them. And this is where you come in, because your ability to be connected to your clients in the full spectrum of their challenges and big opportunities. And then what you're doing is you're crafting an offer that is an answered prayer for your right fit client.
I love that.
Offer,
Those
right?
words.
Yes,
An answered
exactly.
prayer. I love it. And I don't mean that in the biblical or whatever, but just like,
totally.
yes, so good.
Truly, right. And that you just said that, right? That should be the response from your right fit client to a well-crafted offer. So you're going out into the marketplace holding this basket of bounty that is the dream solution that your right fit client has been seeking. And the value of what's in this basket is 10 times more than the price you're going to charge. Right. Because it's such a holistic solution. And you've created that solution from this place of very deep awareness of who your client is, what's holding her back, what her unrealized potentials are. And the process of then enrolling your right fit client into this offer is an act of sponsorship into her highest potential. And that is where I think the magic really is, because we're really stepping into a much bigger context for our role as coaches and as change makers, and to see the transformative power of an offer. And I think, those of us who are listening to this podcast, we know how to invest in ourselves, right? We've been people who've been investing in ourselves, and we know what happens when you invest in yourself. And something happens when you give your client an opportunity to invest in herself at the highest level, together with a comprehensive solution of what is going to truly create the context to transform her life and whatever outcome you're up to. This is the most magical, exciting thing. And this is where I love making offers and I love making invitations, because I feel like a fairy godmother when I'm going out there.
I love that analogy. There's something in what you said that I want to highlight, and that is we're not making up what the pain points are or what the client needs. We've actually done the work. We have a process. We have a way to adduce from our clients to know them so closely that when we make the offer, like you said, it's an answered prayer because we've done that work. And so often we create offers from our head. We think this is a really good idea. This should sell, or it's got a quirky name, but it doesn't come from that foundation of really understanding your clients. Then you can charge whatever you want, because an answered prayer, that's priceless.
Correct.
I want to talk about a resource that you are making available to us to give to the listeners of this show, and that is your Charge More guide. And in that, you talk about the hidden costs of undercharging, including burnout and financial stress, and even reduced client outcomes. Can you share how undercharging affects not just us as business owners, and you've made a great case for that, but how does it also impact our clients?
Well, it's really, number one, it's a signal to our clients that our work isn't really valuable, right? Like, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I'll share a little bit of a story. And this was actually a conversation that I had at breakfast in Phoenix, where I am now, with Michelle and our friend Barry Baumgardner a couple of years ago, actually 2 years ago. We were having this conversation, and Michelle and Barry were challenging me to charge more for an offer that I was creating. And I said, oh, I don't know that my client's going to be able to pay that. And Barry actually said, well, could you really deliver the solution that's going to provide her with the results she needs for less? And I said, no, actually, she really needs all of these things to be able to be successful. And she said, well, then you're not serving her by charging less. You're not serving her by giving her less than the full solution that she needs. And so I think that's what happens, is that we are inside the presumption of limitation about the ceiling that our clients have for what they can invest and what they can pay. And so then we start thinking from these constraints that are erroneous to begin with, right? Maybe not, but then we're actually creating solutions that aren't really the comprehensive solution that a client is seeking. So I think undercharging in many ways, it actually hurts our clients in being able to get the comprehensive solutions that they need when we buy into that presumption of scarcity. And, I think that's, and like, that's really big, because, I really got in that conversation, and it was like, several follow-up conversations with Michelle, where she's like, yeah, it's really, and this is where we need each other, and we need to be in masterminds, and we need to have like, because it was Barry and Michelle saying back to me, no, you should really, you can really charge that. Like, that's how, we have to help each other raise our own expectations and our sense of possibility and get that mirroring. But it totally transformed when I started charging way more and providing real value. I think we can serve our clients in bigger ways.
So good.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Claire, I mean, I have listened to you speak so many times, and we've, worked on so many projects together. I'm still madly, madly taking notes as you speak. It's just so good. I want to dig a bit more into this price increase that you personally experienced. And can you talk a little bit about what the sort of pricing shift was? Because it was fairly significant. But also, what kind of surprised you the most about what changed in your business and for your clients when you raised your prices?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so I had been offering a certification program in coaching, as well as facilitation and leadership skills. And there was a business training, and there were all of these things. And what I realized was that my clients needed a much deeper level of training. And they needed everything that was in all three of these different programs. And because people had asked me, can I just take this? Can I just take that? Because this is what happens, right? We get feedback from the marketplace. And so I was offering these three different programs, and the level of complexity had me overstretched, being able to serve everybody's needs, and I kind of think this is a very female thing of like, we want to take care of everybody, and we don't want to leave anyone behind, and we want to, make sure everybody gets what they need. Meanwhile, we're not getting what we need in terms of a cohesive business. And our clients ultimately are not getting what they need because they don't necessarily know what they need. And so that's part of the process. And I really thought, I kind of had created these three different tracks, and I was enrolling into them separately because, again, I thought, oh, that's what everybody wanted. But I just realized, I think they need all three of them. And what would happen if I just charged, twice as much or 2.5 times as much, and they got everything that was in all three programs? And so this was a huge, to go from, it was like a 10K offer to a 25K offer, there was an internal like expansion for me to say that number out loud. And I think that's part of the process where, because, and I absolutely was confident in the transformation I knew that we could deliver. But I felt I could see I was against all those things. I didn't want people to judge me as being, money motivated, or I didn't want this. But I really stood with what that conversation was that we had with Michelle and Barry about, like, really, you actually really need to do all these three things. And so that became the conversation. When I was enrolling clients, I took greater responsibility to build awareness for them about what they needed to be successful. And I found what really surprised me is having clients come in who committed at this higher level, and they committed to this program that now had all of these three tracks inclusive. It was an absolutely seismic shift in the level of commitment that those clients showed up in, that catalyzed the next level of my investment and leadership and ability to be all in with them to mentor and develop them. And it completely blew my mind, because it wasn't any of the things that I had assumed or thought. I'd spoken to women on our team who they were very convinced no one's going to enroll if you charge more. Like, that is absolutely the limit. I've been talking to people in our community for years. We should only have a 10K program and they can take it in stages. And I kind of kept coming back, but that's not really what they need to be successful. And so I think there was just something that raised everyone up by me standing for an awareness of what that holistic solution is.
Yes.
And really committing to recognizing there's only so many hours that I have on planet Earth with my life energy. What are the results that I want to create? And I don't want to create results that are nothing short of extraordinary and amazing. And so, like, I realized I had to create a much bigger, higher value offer to be able to live into that.
And the other thing you mentioned was that you were overstretched. Now you've got one primary focus. You're not trying to launch three things at the same time. And I bet the team now also is like, oh, we've got this one channel. We have this one focus.
Correct.
And not only is the business doing better and you're generating more revenue with this one thing, you're getting better results, but also you're taking the pressure off yourself to be going, buy this thing. No, buy this thing, which can cause confusion in the marketplace, but also I know internally streamlining your offers. So good. You've kind of talked about this in some ways already, but I'd love to dig a little further into the inner glass ceilings, if you like, that you've discovered that hold people back from charging for the value that they're actually delivering. What are some of the most common limiting beliefs that you see around pricing and making offers? And how do we start to break down some of those barriers with confidence?
Well, I think part of it is one of the biggest ones is this, and these are kind of, so there are the external cultural patterns, right? The confidence gap, the power penalty, the way in which women are perceived as being unlikable. But these deep internal barriers that come up, these are the core beliefs, like I'm not good enough. And that's one of the biggest ones that comes up around our value. And, fundamentally, the I'm not good enough pattern is we're overgiving from a place of disconnection. And so all the evidence that we have in our lived experience is that no matter how much we give, people are never satisfied and never happy. And, and so what you find when you look into that cultural pattern of I'm not good enough at the deepest level possible, right? There's a way in which we overgive, like we give 100 apples to somebody and they're not satisfied because all they really want is one orange. And I see this, right? I see this in our offers. We're shoving all this stuff in our offers. It's like 100 apples, and you see, and then no one wants to buy it because it's just, what they really want is just one orange. And, and I think that's part of it, because our lived experience is not, when we're in those cycles of creating from disconnection, as opposed to really seeing ourselves as value creators and being able to craft offers as holistic solutions to urgent problems that unleash the untapped potential of our clients, and that we have absolute confidence in those results. Like, when we're standing in that place, we're not, our own self-worth is off the table, right? Whether or not we're valuable is off the table. And now we're in a place of curiosity of how do we really solve these problems, and how do we create value? And you go and you ask your clients for feedback. I mean, I'm kind of shocked when I coach women on creating their coaching offers, before I've worked with them in our process, in our woman-centered way that we work with women. I'm really shocked at how few coaches have ever really gotten feedback from their clients about the deeper things that provide value for them.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, we don't ask for feedback. And so we keep over giving the things that other people don't value, and then we keep getting evidence that we're not valued.
Right. And I want to pick up on this phrase that kind of bothers me when I see it out in the world, charge what you're worth. I absolutely despise that phrase, because
Me too.
it's not about charging what you're worth. Your worth, like you said, is off the table. It's a reshifting of the focus on charge the value that you're delivering. And I love this mental shift that you're really advocating for around becoming value creators. And I think that if you are a value creator, you can stand in that value, and then with a structure like what we've got for creating an offer, those two things together. If you're a value creator and you've got the structure for creating an offer, that's like the winning combination. And I guess you've covered so many key areas here, and I know we've covered a lot of ground, but I just want to check as we sort of get to wrapping up. With all that we've talked about today, is there anything else that you would like to mention or cover, or that you're feeling, hey, I want the Content Sales listeners to hear this?
Well, and I think this is the thing, is that we need to get into a developmental mindset around growing our skills as value creators. And this is what you and Suzi, Michelle, are absolute masters of teaching women how to do. And, and that is like, this is a skill that we don't have, right? Inside of these inner glass ceilings, I'm not good enough. We're in a lot of fixed mindset thinking, where if people aren't buying our offer, we think it's because I mustn't be good enough, as opposed to, what am I missing? What do I don't know? What are the elements of my offer that are not actually the solution my clients are seeking? And how do I get better at that? And so I think the biggest thing that I would say for each and every one of us listening is we really want to get out of the conversation of, if I'm good enough, people will buy my offer. Right. And that deep place of scarcity and insecurity in ourselves, to my self-worth is off the table. My very existence is enough to be worthy. And how do I help my clients solve their big problems and create comprehensive solutions? And that's going to be a process, and do that in a way that really follows a really powerful structure of value creation. And that is a skill that we need to learn. No one is born learning this. And this is why we need mentors, and we need peers, and then we need others who reflect and believe in us that we can do it. And that's the power of community and learning how to do this. But to charge more, we have to grow ourselves and what we can tolerate. We need to grow our skills, and we need to grow our deeper connection to who we're serving and the problems that we're solving. And, really create offers that actually have 10 times, 10x the value. How good are you going to feel? And I think that's the real key to charging more and feeling good about it, is that you know what you're bringing forward is an answered prayer and worth 10 times more than you're charging. And the power position that you're in, going out into the world from a place of service and powerful stand, that gives you the power to call forth your clients, to expand and invest in themselves at a higher level. And that's part of the transformation. That is part of the transformation. When you can elevate your offer and elevate the stand and elevate what you're inviting your clients into, this is part of the alchemy that you're here to create.
Well, thank you so much for the value and commitment that you've brought to this conversation. You've been an answered prayer to those of us thinking, how do I do this differently? And I want to talk a little bit, just for a minute, about the resource that you're making available. We're going to put the link to it in the show notes, but this is your Charge More guide. Can you just say a few words about that resource?
Yeah, well, we kind of go through and we just name, because I just think, women don't want to just charge more. We want to charge more and feel good about it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it really goes through in a deeper way a lot of these points and a lot of our false beliefs. There's a lot of all the false beliefs around charging less and all of the power statements around charging more. But then there's a whole section as well that's really about how we can approach elevating the results and the value that we create, especially for women who now make up 70% of clients in the coaching industry. And honestly, a lot of women don't feel good about charging more because they don't feel confident yet about the results. And so we do need to grow our skills for the results we're able to create. So there's some fantastic frameworks and a guide to how to approach thinking about the results that you're going to create that build that inner alignment and congruence to be able to charge more and feel good about it. That's created especially for women.
Inner alignment, charging more and feeling good about it. Claire, I agree with Suzi. You've been an answered prayer today. So many things you've said, I think, have filled in a lot of given us real depth of understanding around a lot of the things we've spoken about on this show about creating offers. I think you've really kind of given a dimension to this that will help women to see where and how we're holding ourselves back, where and how the culture and the old beliefs are holding ourselves back. I know on behalf of Suzi and myself and everyone who's listening, we want to thank you so much for what you've shared. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for being with us today on the show.
Oh, such a pleasure, delight, and joy. And I am so grateful for your work. And I'm so grateful for the space that you hold for women to become unstoppable, visible, powerful value creators who go out into the world as fairy godmothers for the potentials of their clients. So
Thank you so much.
In the world. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Wow. How awesome was that?
Oh my gosh, it was brilliant. I said to myself, oh my God, it's like she's channeling this brilliance. But it's obviously years and years of experience in doing what it is that she does and helping so many thousands of women with these exact things that we talked about. So good.
Yeah, I loved it. And I love that you said that to yourself. I think that's awesome. And it's really, I think, indicative of the whole conversation today. It's all the things we're telling ourselves, right, that are so powerful and so important when it comes to making a high converting offer. And I really resonated with what she said about how we doubt ourselves. Like in general, women don't want to set expectations or promise big results. And she said, women have to be 85% certain. And I so see that in the women that we work with. And I see it in myself, although I've really been like working on it. I can look at a colleague, a male colleague, who probably has far less experience, but they're out there doing it.
Yeah.
They don't doubt themselves. And yet women have to have, the 55,000 qualifications and all these things to feel like we can even hit the starting line. So I really feel that that's an important point that she made. And because we don't want to set these expectations, because we're fearful, we're not 100% or 85% confident it's all going to work out perfectly, then we hold back and we don't make these bold offers and we don't price things accordingly, and then we don't attract the people who are ready to take action because we're so hesitant. I mean, it's just this, when she points it out, you can see how this cycle just happens.
One of the things that people have often said to me is, "Oh, you're so humble, Susie." And I kind of think, well, that's lovely, but we don't ever want our humility to be the reason why we're not swinging big and
Right.
asking for the sale and charging the prices and having all the certainty. It doesn't mean that we are, like she said, we don't have to be the fear of being perceived as salesy or pushy or braggy or whatever can really hold us back. So I love that she said that. What I wanted to bring up that really spoke to me, and it's something that we do talk about here on the show, and that is really deeply connecting with the pain points of your ideal clients, the lived experience, were her exact words, of our ideal clients, and being that answered prayer to what the client has been seeking, so that when they see your offer, it's like, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want. And we can't get there from making it up. We get there from speaking the client language, from listening to the clients, from asking the questions, for really tapping in to who is that ideal client. Because each one of our ideal clients, and this is why you and I, Michelle, say not everybody's your client. Like, figure out who your client is and really understand them. And so when we truly understand them, then we can be the answered prayer. Otherwise, we are just another piece of blah, blah, blah noise in their world.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I guess, when you really understand them and you're really connected, all of that doubt the noise about the doubt starts to go away, and you really can feel confident and certain and convicted, like Claire was so certain and convicted of, those 3 products merged together was actually what women needed. And then she was able to kind of go out boldly. So I love what you're saying there. And what you were saying about humility before, and, Claire calls it the power penalty, which I think is a really interesting idea, that as women get more powerful, they are penalized by the exterior world. We also tend to penalize ourselves because culturally that's how we've been brought up, to be the nurturers and the carers. And yet you're out there wanting to charge $25,000 for something. Who the heck do you think you are? And I just love that she really named that, and that power is so closely linked to money, and there's this fear that I'll be judged, that I'll be selfish, that I won't be seen as humble, that I won't be in my place, that I won't be liked as much, or that I will also, what I thought was so powerful, what she said, was that I'm no longer mission oriented or service oriented. Wasn't that good?
Yeah. It's like you used to really care about your clients, and now look at you. It's not fair.
You got it. Yeah, so true. And but just having this awareness, knowing that A, it's a thing, and B, you're not making this up on your own. This is a thing that we need to deal with, and we need to develop and grow ourselves around. And she had to do that. She had to grow herself in order to be able to deal with some of that power penalty stuff that was coming up for her.
And that's why I love surrounding myself with women like you, like Claire, like the women in our mastermind, the women in the masterminds that we both belong to, because we can be a little, sounding board when those thoughts come up. And one of the things that Claire talked about when she was talking about charging the higher price, well, she said something like, can you provide this solution that your client really needs for the price you are charging? And when I think about her business membership, when I think about our mastermind, the reason that we have that premium pricing is because what we offer is premium, and there is no way we could offer all the in-person events, all the one-on-one support, all the strategy sessions, all the masterclasses, all the support to get the results that women get. We couldn't do it for less. Like, we would have to skimp and scrape and not provide the value. But we know that when women spend a year with us inside of the mastermind, their marketing is going to be elevated. Their results are going to be elevated. The number of leads they get, the number of sales they get, how clear they are on their offers, on their ideal client, on their promotions. And so I'm quite unapologetic now about the fact that our mastermind is $2,000 a month. It's just like, we understand that the value that we create. And so my question to you as you're listening is, are you charging less and therefore providing less value than what your client really, really needs in order to get the transformation that they really, really want, in order for you to be that answered prayer?
I love that. As you were speaking, I was really seeing that that's exactly what's happened for us in the mastermind. Like, we know that's what the woman that we work with needs, and we're not prepared to compromise on that, because she's not going to get what she needs, and she's not going to get the results she wants. And so that's the really powerful thing. And this ties in with the idea of this shift to being a value creator. So I really loved that point that Claire made about becoming a value creator. And when she made this shift, in 1 year, she went from helping 6 women in a living room to helping thousands of women. Her business literally exploded overnight when she understood this concept of being a value creator. And that's what we're doing. I feel really, like you said, uncompromising and unapologetic about the value that we're creating. We know it in our bones. And then we step into the confidence of being able to say those numbers out loud and being able to, with conviction, invite people to take this offer.
So good. Oh my gosh, Claire. There's one more thing, and I'll make this the last thing. One of the things, Michelle, as you know, that we do inside of her business is we have women do an audit of their products and services from the point of view of, what am I charging? Is it going to get me my money goals? Is it going to get me my profit goals? And sometimes we find that people don't have enough products, or they don't have products at the right prices to get the money goals that they have. But other times we have that situation that Claire mentioned, where there is a level of complexity that has them overstretched, but that very little of what they're doing is contributing to their overall goals and profits. And so the antidote to that is getting really clear about what's going to serve that client and building a product and service range that gets you your money goals, gets you your profit goals, but also serves the most number of people with the impact that it is that you want to make. And so when she went from the 3 different offers and got the support and the coaching to have the oversight to create one $25,000 offer, taking the pressure off, being able to breathe, having the staff aligned, and that myth, that lie, is that we need to sell more and more different things rather than streamlining our product service matrix to just a few things. So important.
Very. It's these structural things that make the difference. Reduce the number of offers, get really focused, deliver the outcome, be value creators. Like, these are the things, these are the big pieces on the chessboard that when we get them in the right place, everything changes, like it did for Claire.
Great conversation. Absolutely loved it. We have got links, we've got resources, we've got Claire's resource, we've got links to other podcasts that we think would be really good to listen to if you want to go deeper into today's topic, including the last couple of episodes that we've had that are really about this year of the offer. So stay tuned for that link. But before I give you that, we love to share tips like these with business owners. What gold Claire brought to us today. And so we would love it if you enjoyed this episode to go ahead and leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. We have over 100 5-star reviews. We'd love to know that you got good value and what it is you're taking away, what you're going to implement. So just head on over to Spotify or to Apple Podcasts more specifically. That's the big kahuna of podcast reviews, and leave us a rating or a review. So one of our members, the lovely Roz Lockley from Communiques, she's a mediator, she's a conflict coach, she works to help people find the best in their relationships. She said this. She has been paying attention to the year of the offer and the podcast episodes that we've done so far. And she said, I am sending out my offer on Monday now that I've listened to the latest Fabulous Content Sales podcast. I feel almost ready. The podcast could not have come at a better time. Thank you, Suzi and Michelle. And I think she's talking about episode 254. Which was the new and updated How to Craft an Offer That Sells episode that we will put a link to in our show notes. So anything we've mentioned today, including getting in touch with Claire, and if you're a coach and you want to work with the coach that coaches the coaches, then you want to look her up, but you definitely want to download the Charge More guide. You're going to find all of that on our show notes page, which is at herbusiness.com/charge more. herbusiness.com/charge more. All right. So, Michelle, we have another episode coming up in 2 weeks' time from the date that this one releases. What do we want to say about that one?
Oh my gosh, we want to say so many things, but I'll try and keep it short, because we're going to be speaking with another incredible woman who is not afraid to charge more, not afraid to get her voice out in the world, not afraid to be seen, and who is influencing literally millions of people and growing her list at an exponential rate, growing her business at an exponential rate, making such a difference in the world and such a difference in her own life as a result. And that is the incredible Nicole Burke. And she is going to share with us her Instagram strategies. Now, what I love about Nicole is Suzi and we had Nicole present to our mastermind group about close to a year ago. And she was able to share strategies with the mastermind group about Instagram that got the people in our mastermind group getting immediate results. And it's not just more followers on Instagram because, hey, that's great, but it doesn't mean they turn into customers. This is my big beef with us getting all these followers on all these platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, great, but how are you converting those? How are you getting offers in front of people? And so what Nicole's done is created an Instagram strategy that actually delivers on the holy grail of growing your Instagram followers in a huge way, but almost instantly getting those people onto your email list and very, very quickly turning those followers into paying customers. And she's going to share the strategy with you when you tune into our next episode.
I am so excited for you to have access to that. As Michelle said, Nicole came to our mastermind. She presented that. Women are already getting results, making sales, getting thousands of leads before there was crickets on their posts. So very, very good. So if you don't already subscribe to the show, make sure you hit follow or subscribe wherever you are listening, and that'll be available to you as soon as it's out. Michelle, anything you want to say before we go today?
I feel like so much has been said. I feel so complete. I feel like this was such a deep, rich, juicy episode. I want to thank Claire for just bringing it today. I want to thank you, Suzi. It's always such a joy to have these conversations with you and with other amazing women. And I want to thank everyone who's listening. And I really hope you'll download the Charge More Guide and you'll step into making more high converting, powerful offers.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Content Sales Podcast. Bye for now.